My dear friend, let me tell you something tonight. This is not just another message. This is not just another word you stumble across on your screen. No, this is urgent. This is divine. This is fire. A shocking turn is coming. God Himself is about to step into your life with such power, with such force, with such fire, that everything you thought was fixed, broken, or finished is about to change. You've been carrying weights no one saw. You've been smiling in public while crying in private. You've been walking through seasons so dry you forgot what peace even feels like. But hear me. Now God says the waiting was not punishment. It was preparation. His silence was not absence. It was strategy. He has been shaping you, refining you like gold tested in the furnace. And now His fire is coming to consume the chains, to burn away the shame, to ignite the promise that has been buried in your soul. Don't you miss this moment. Don't you tune it out. This is heaven's announcement over your life. A shocking turn, a holy fire, a restoration so profound, the very air around you will feel different. And when God's fire moves, no sickness, no debt, no betrayal, no fear can stand against it. Before we go deeper, welcome to the channel. To those who have supported this space, I want to give you my heartfelt thanks. Whether you've lifted this message with a word, a share, or simply your silent presence, thank you. Your faith keeps this message spreading like fire through the wilderness. And if this word touches your soul, drop 777 in the comments below. 777 is a powerful sign of completion, perfection, and spiritual awakening. If you are truly chosen, stay until the end with me. Now let's begin. Beloved chosen ones, hear me, because this is where the Spirit of God leans in close. This is the part that touches every hidden place of your life. God Himself is declaring, I will end the cycles. I will silence the lies. I will make a new way where there was no way. For some of you, those cycles have been running for generations. Patterns of brokenness, poverty, disappointment. You've carried the same weight your mother carried, your father carried, your grandparents carried. Cycles of anger, cycles of rejection, cycles of silence at the dinner table where the house looked whole on the outside but carried fractures on the inside. And you said to yourself, when will this ever stop? When will things finally change? I came to tell you tonight, God says the cycle stops with you. The burden ends here. The pattern breaks now. He is not just reaching into your today. He is reaching back into what has been repeating for years, and He is cutting it off at the root. You thought those roots were too deep, too tangled, too powerful, but God is saying, I have already closed off the roots that brought you pain. And I am planting new roots of hope, new roots of peace, new roots of restoration in your house. And listen, He's not just fixing what people can see. He's moving in the hidden places. In the room where you wept alone, He is present. In the hallway where you dragged your feet, not knowing how you'd make it through another day, He is present. In the kitchen where the cupboards were nearly bare, yet you whispered a prayer of thanks, He is present. And it is in those very places, those places of lack and loneliness, that His power is going to show up the loudest. Now let me speak plain. God has stepped into conversations you were not invited to. When people tried to tear down your name, He silenced their mouths. When they plotted against you in secret, He turned their plans into dust. You may not have even known what was said about you, but heaven knew, and heaven already answered. Child of God, the new path is being cleared right now. It's subtle at first. You may feel like something in the air has shifted, like a weight is just a little bit lighter. That's not your imagination. That's the hand of God. Opening doors you didn't knock on, unlocking rooms you never had the key for, creating space where there was only suffocation before. But here's the part we don't always want to hear. Before the breakthrough comes the silence. Before the change comes, the stillness. And so many of us confuse God's silence with God's absence. We look around and say, Lord, where are you? Why haven't you answered yet? Why did you let me sit in this pain for so long? And the Spirit of God says, my silence was not abandonment. My silence was training. My silence was shaping you, building you, preparing you. See, if God had moved when you first asked, you would not have been ready to hold the blessing. If He had opened the door too soon, you would have walked into a room with no foundation. You would have had the promise without the strength to sustain it. And God loves you too much to let you collapse under the weight of a gift you weren't yet able to carry. That's why some of you had to sit in the quiet for so long. That's why some of your prayers felt like they bounced off the ceiling. Because the Father was saying, not yet. Not because I don't hear you, but because I am preparing you. Preparation is not punishment. Let me say that again, so it burns into your spirit. Preparation is not punishment. You thought God was punishing you. You thought those closed doors meant you were rejected. You thought the silence meant He walked away. But in reality, He was strengthening your inner core. He was teaching you how to endure storms without falling apart. He was letting you discover the resilience you didn't even know you carried. Look back for a moment. Think of what you've endured. The nights you cried and still showed up in the morning. The days you kept walking though you felt empty inside. The times you gave when you barely had enough for yourself. That wasn't wasted. That was training ground. That was heaven's gym building muscles of faith that would carry you into this next season. And now, because you did not quit even when you had every reason to, God says, I come quickly. I move swiftly. And when I act, nothing can stand in the way. Do you hear the urgency of that? Nothing can stand, no sickness, not debt, not betrayal, not fear, not even the unrest in your own house. When the fire of God moves, it consumes every obstacle. It burns away every chain, and it lights up the path you are called to walk. So stop questioning if the silence meant He forgot you. Stop wondering if the suffering meant He abandoned you. No, He was shaping you in the shadows. He was building you when no one was looking. And now He is bringing you into the light. Family, I want you to imagine a seed in the ground. For months, maybe even years, it looks like nothing is happening. Dead silence, hiddenness. But all that time, roots are forming. Strength is being built in the unseen. And when the season shifts, that seed breaks through the soil with unstoppable force. That's what God is doing in you. You were hidden for a reason. You were silent for a season. And now is the breaking forth. Let me leave you with this truth. God's timing is always perfect, and His fire is never wasted. What felt like the furnace was not to destroy you, but to refine you. What felt like silence was not to ignore you, but to mature you. And now, beloved, the silence is breaking, the season is shifting, the cycle is ending, the shocking turn is here. And when it comes, you will not just survive, you will thrive. You will not just be free, you will be whole. You will not just step out of the shadows, you will shine as a living testimony that God never left, He never forgot, and He never wasted a single tear. Stay ready, because the burdens are ending. The silence has done its work, and the fire of God is about to change everything. Beloved chosen ones, there comes a moment when heaven stops watching silently, a moment when God says, enough. And this right here, right now, is that moment. Some of you have been carrying weights that no one else knows about, smiling on the outside, falling apart on the inside. You've been walking into rooms full of people who don't see the pain you've mastered hiding. You've been loyal, you've been faithful, but deep down your heart has whispered prayers like, God, I'm tired. God, I feel invisible. God, do you even see me? And I came to tell you, not out of emotion, but out of divine assignment. Yes, He sees you, and He's stepping in. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need 1,000 likes or an audience to validate your worth. Because when God intervenes, He doesn't take a poll, he doesn't send a memo, he moves. And when he moves, chains break, doors open, and atmospheres shift. God is about to shift some things in your life without asking permission from anyone. He's not waiting on approval. He's not checking to see if it's convenient. He's coming to rearrange some relationships, some environments, some inner struggles that you've gotten used to. And you know it's him because it'll feel like a sudden shift, but in truth, it's been orchestrated long before you even cried that first tear. See, some of the people in your life right now were never meant to stay forever. God is about to remove some individuals who were only there for a season, not a lifetime. They played their part, they had a purpose. But now it's time for you to grow beyond the circle that once felt safe. It's not punishment, it's pruning. And it's not just about subtraction, it's about divine replacement. Because while some are being removed, others are being sent. Destiny partners. People who don't just tolerate your calling, they help unlock it. People who won't be intimidated by your anointing but will help water it. God is sending people into your life who are strong, where you are weak, who have what you've been lacking, who can see the value in what others overlooked. And the beauty of this shift is that it won't require you to perform. You won't have to overextend, over-explain, or overgive. These connections will be peaceful, natural, and God-ordained. But don't be surprised when this shift affects even your family. Because sometimes the hardest chains to break are the ones tied in blood. There are family relationships that have been strained, wounded, or filled with silence for years. But God says, I'm healing what no one thought could be healed. It's not going to be loud. It's not going to be dramatic. The healing will come like a gentle wind in the quiet spaces, in the silent surrender. Suddenly you'll notice the anger isn't there anymore. The resentment is gone. The walls begin to crumble, not through arguments, but through understanding. God is going into the DNA of your story, rewriting chapters that were marred by misunderstanding, rejection, and neglect. He's not doing this because you begged long enough. He's doing this because his time is now, and when God says it's time, nothing can stand in the way. This divine intervention isn't just about relationships, it's about you, your inner world. Because while the world sees what you post, God sees what you suppress. He sees the exhaustion that sleep can't fix. He sees the loneliness that lingers even in a crowded room. He sees the moments you've wanted to disappear, not because you don't love others, but because you feel unseen. You pour out, and no one seems to notice when you run dry. But God notices. And today, He's stepping into your emotional desert with living water. You didn't find this message by accident. You didn't stumble upon it randomly. This is divine alignment. This is heaven's interruption. God set this moment up before you even knew you needed it. He saw the battles you were too weary to fight. He heard the prayers you were too broken to pray. And so He sent a message not to inspire you with hype, but to awaken you with truth. The change has already begun. Even if you can't see it yet, even if it feels like nothing around you is different, trust this. Something within you has shifted. A seed has been planted. A word has been released, and it will not return void. What's your part in all of this? Trust. Not control, not figure out, not fix. Just trust. Trust that the same God who saw you in your lowest will raise you to your highest. Trust that the pain you've been through is not wasted. Trust that even in the silence, He was working. And now that He's speaking, don't harden your heart. Don't dismiss the tug you feel. Don't scroll past this moment. Lean into it. Receive it. And then share it, because someone else needs what you just heard. Someone else is on the edge wondering if God forgot them. And your obedience to share might be the bridge between their breakdown and their breakthrough. So let this be your declaration. God, I trust you. Even when it hurts, even when it's unclear, even when I'm tired, I trust you. Because trust is the soil where miracles grow. And your miracle, beloved, is already in motion. This is not a feel-good speech. This is a divine announcement. Heaven has declared the chains are breaking, the isolation is ending, the healing is happening. And your story, yes, your story is being rewritten by the author of life himself. Don't you dare give up now. Don't you dare settle for a version of your life that God never signed off on. Stand up, speak hope, walk in expectation. Because your next chapter doesn't need your perfection, it needs your surrender. Let go of what didn't work. Release who didn't stay. And prepare for what's about to come. Because what's coming doesn't look like what you've lost. It looks like what God promised. And what God promises, He fulfills. This is your moment. Don't just survive it. Embrace it. Speak it. Live it. And remember, if God is breaking chains, He's also opening doors. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. And now the shift has begun. Sometimes what breaks you is what builds you. Sometimes what feels like the end is only the preparation for the beginning. You've been in the storm, you've walked through the fire, and you've stood silent in the wilderness. But now, child of God, there's a shift in the atmosphere. Something is turning. A divine hand is moving behind the scenes. You can't see it with the natural eye, but deep in your spirit, you know something's about to happen. It's that quiet knowing, that holy tension, that stillness before the rain. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new season. You didn't come this far just to survive. You came this far because heaven has marked this moment as the turning point. The dry season was real. The isolation was real. The disappointments were real, but they were not final. They were foundational. God has been setting the stage for what's next. And it's greater than what you lost. This is the season of breakthrough. This is the moment when the ground beneath your feet starts to tremble, not with destruction, but with resurrection power. The kind of shaking that breaks chains, that repositions you, that pushes you into the place you were always meant to be. Don't confuse the silence with absence. Don't mistake the delay for denial. God has been working in the background not to leave you behind, but to bring you forward in a way no one can deny. He's not just opening doors, He's changing hearts. Those faces that once turned away will begin to turn back. Those voices that once silenced you will start to echo with words of support. God is softening what was once stone. He's warming what was once cold. And He's bringing people into your life who recognize the oil on your head, the calling on your life, and the power in your spirit. This isn't just about blessings falling into your lap. This is about transformation from the inside out. God is not merely sprinkling favor on the surface. He is digging deep, healing wounds you thought would never close, rebuilding parts of you that had been shattered and restoring your name in places where it was dragged through the mud. You're not going back to who you were. You're not even being elevated to who you imagined. You're being called into something entirely new. An identity, a role, a position shaped by divine fire and not by human opinion. There's a shift in the spirit. Can you feel it? The things that used to break you now become the things that build others. The battles that used to exhaust you now become the testimonies that fuel your authority. And that's because God is not in the business of cosmetics. He's in the business of root work. He doesn't just want to fix what's visible. He wants to rewire what's invisible. He's aligning your heart with heaven's blueprint. He's changing your thinking so that when the blessings come, you won't sabotage them. You won't shrink back. You won't apologize for the favor on your life. You'll stand in it with gratitude and conviction, knowing you were born for this. Because this new season doesn't just bring opportunity, it demands maturity. God has not given you what you prayed for back then. He's giving you what you're ready for now. And sometimes the reason for the wait was not the enemy, it was mercy. You weren't ready. The structure of your soul couldn't hold the weight of what you were asking for. But now, after the tears, the nights alone, the fights with your own doubt, you've got spiritual muscle. You've got resilience. You've got wisdom that wasn't taught in books but carved into your soul through fire. And God says, now you can handle it. The promises of old, the ones you almost gave up on, are about to surface again. But this time they won't pass you by. This time they'll land because now the foundation is ready. Now the vessel is sturdy. Now the soil is fertile. And when it comes, it won't just bless you, it will bless generations through you. You'll walk into rooms and shift the temperature. You'll speak words and chains will break. You'll touch lives, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because heaven is announcing you. People will look at you and say, something's changed. And you'll smile, not out of pride, but out of awe, because you'll know it wasn't you. It was the hand of God. It was His timing, His preparation, His strategy. The kind of change that doesn't come with noise, but comes with weight. Akid authority, a holy confidence, a stillness that shouts louder than chaos. You're not who you used to be. You're not where you used to be. You've crossed over. There's no going back. You've outgrown some places, some people, some patterns, and it's okay. Let them go. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question the new you. Because what God is doing in you now isn't up for debate. It's a declaration. He's declaring you healed. He's declaring you whole. He's declaring you ready. So walk in it. Walk with your head high, not because of arrogance, but because of assurance. You're not stepping forward alone. The cloud of witnesses is watching. Angels are clearing paths, and God Himself is going before you. This is your moment, your divine pivot, your appointed hour, and everything that's about to unfold will make sense of everything you've endured. Even your enemies will have to admit God's hand is on you. Even your inner critic will be silenced by the undeniable move of heaven in your life. You'll start to notice things you prayed for showing up in unexpected ways. Not forced, not manipulated, just divine flow. And you'll realize it's not just about receiving blessings, it's about becoming the kind of person who can carry them well, with humility, with grace, with strength. The wilderness didn't waste you, it prepared you. The silence didn't crush you, it matured you. And now you are stepping into a season not of survival, but of stewardship. God is entrusting you with more because you've been faithful with little. You didn't quit. You didn't let go. And even when you stumbled, you got back up. So now the heavens are opening, and what was closed is opening. What was blocked is clearing. What was denied is being granted, but not because of luck, because of legacy, because of purpose, because of divine appointment. This is not your doing, it's His design. And what He starts, He finishes. So get ready. The shift is not coming. The shift is here. The wind is changing. The tide is turning. And you, chosen one, are stepping into the kind of season that will not only change your life, it will change lives through you. Because what God does in you is never just for you. It's for your family, your community, your future, your calling. And every battle, every delay, every lonely night was heaven's way of carving capacity in you. Now the rain is coming, not to drown you, but to water the seeds that have been buried in your soul. And they're about to bloom in ways that make the enemy tremble and heaven rejoice. Kêu gọi tin cậy và bước vào con đường mới. My dear friends, you've walked through fire, you've endured the drought, and now the wind is shifting. You can feel it in the air. Something is changing. What once was heavy is starting to lift. The chains that held you down are weakening. And right here, right now, God is saying, I'm not just turning your situation, I'm freeing your soul. Because there's no true victory if your hands are free, but your heart is still in bondage. There's no real breakthrough if your calendar looks better, but your spirit is still exhausted. That's not the kind of deliverance your God promised. That's not the kind of freedom He went to the cross to give you. No, what God is bringing you into now is not just external success, it's internal rest. This is the season of divine release, a release from torment, a release from anxiety, a release from trying to control everything and everyone. You've been gripping so tightly to what you thought was holding you together, but God is saying, let go, because I'm about to give you a peace you can't manufacture, a rest no vacation can provide. I'm talking about supernatural rest, the kind that makes you sleep again, breathe again, dream again. God didn't bring you this far just to wear you out. No, his promise was, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not just rest for your body, but rest for your soul. The kind of rest that doesn't depend on whether people like you today or betray you tomorrow. The kind of rest that's not shaken by inflation, by diagnosis, or by rejection. This is the peace that passes all understanding. The kind of peace that will make people look at you and wonder, how are you still standing? And all you'll be able to say is, God. This rest isn't passive, it's powerful. It doesn't mean you won't be active, but it means you'll stop striving. You'll stop running in circles to prove your worth. You'll stop begging for love from people who never knew how to give it. You'll stop defining yourself by what you've lost and start thanking God for what you've survived. He's renewing your spirit. And in that renewal, something sacred is awakening. Old dreams that you buried in disappointment are starting to stir. Prayers you forgot you prayed are beginning to echo again in heaven. Because what God placed in you never died. It was simply waiting for peace to return. It was waiting for your mind to quiet long enough to hear him whisper again, I'm still with you. And this peace, this deep, lasting, unshakable peace, it's not being given so you can boast. It's not so you can rise above others with pride. No, this peace is a witness, a testimony, a declaration that what you went through was not for nothing, that every lonely night, every tear-stained pillow, every unanswered question had purpose. Not one moment of pain was wasted in God's eternal design. You see, your peace is proof that God was in the fire with you, proof that he didn't abandon you when others did, proof that he can bring calm to a storm, not just around you, but inside you. And when people see that in you, they won't see arrogance, they'll see gratitude. They'll see that you're not walking tall because of ego, but because of grace. This is your invitation to breathe again, to rest not because life is perfect, but because God is present, to trust not because all the answers are clear, but because his hand is steady, to rejoice not because you have everything you want, but because he's giving you exactly what you need. The rest of God is not a pause, it's a posture. It's choosing to lean back into the arms of a Savior who already carried your worst day and defeated it. So today, let the Spirit of God renew you. Let him transform you from the inside out. Not to elevate your name, but to glorify his. Because when peace floods your heart, it will overflow into your words, your work, your walk. You'll carry a calm that doesn't make sense, and that's how people will know it's God. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your freedom. You don't have to keep pretending to be strong. Let God be strong in you. You don't have to keep performing to be accepted. You already are. Lay down your burden, lay down your fear, and pick up his rest. You're not just being restored, you're being transformed. And when the world sees what God has done in you, they'll know that peace didn't come cheap. It was born from pressure refined by pain and released by the hand of a faithful God. And you are living proof. Let the chains fall. Let the striving end. Let the rest begin. And God is calling you to walk forward in trust, to take that next breath, not just as a person healed, but as someone chosen, guided, and grounded in a new path. And the only way you're going to take it is by faith. Faith not in what you see, but in what God has said. This is where the real walk begins. Not in the praise service, not in the victory lap, but in the in-between. That place where the memory of bondage is still fresh and the road ahead is foggy. That's where God wants to meet you, not with explanations, but with direction. not with the full map, but with one step, just one. And it takes courage to lift your foot and move when you don't know exactly where it's going to land. But child of God, that's where faith lives. Faith does not wait for clarity. Faith obeys the whisper. Faith doesn't demand a guarantee. Faith clings to a promise. And the promise of God is this: I will make a way in the wilderness. I will place rivers in the dry wasteland. I will go before you and make crooked places straight. I will carry you when your knees buckle. I will speak for you when your voice trembles. I will heal what they broke. I will restore what they stole. I will bless what they cursed. I will light up what they buried in darkness. But only if you trust me, not halfway, not with conditions, not when it's comfortable. God is asking, will you trust me when you can't trace me? Will you walk when you don't see the road? Will you speak life when the echoes of death are still fresh in your ears? See, the enemy wants you to stand still, to sit in survival, to camp in yesterday's struggle. But the Spirit of God is moving, and if you belong to Him, you can't stay where you were. The chains are off, yes. The peace has come, yes. But now you've got to move, because faith isn't just something you feel, it's something you do. It's a walk, and God is calling you into a new path, a path of healing, a path of courage, a path where every step you take leaves behind a trail of transformation. And the first thing He's healing, it's your belief. Because somewhere in the battle, somewhere in the silence of those long nights, the enemy whispered lies to your spirit. Lies that you're not enough, that you've missed it, that nothing will change, that you're too broken, too far gone. And if you're not careful, you start walking with those voices echoing in your soul. But God is saying, enough. This is the day where those voices die and truth rises. You are not what you've been through. You are not the label they gave you. You are not the trauma that tried to rewrite your identity. You are a child of the Most High God, redeemed, called, carried, sent. And this new path you're walking, it's not based on your perfection. It's based on your position in Him. And here's what happens when you trust Him and step into the unknown. Peace replaces panic. Stillness replaces striving. Divine confidence silences the chaos. God begins to transform the way you see everything. That same situation that used to scare you, now it's your testimony. That same person who used to pull you down, now they can't reach you. That same wound that kept bleeding, now it's sealed and there's power in the scar. Because when God walks with you, the atmosphere changes. The voices around you lose their hold. The old cycles don't repeat. And you begin to see the impossible unfold in ordinary moments. He heals relationships that look dead. He breathes life into dreams that were buried. He opens doors that no man can shut, and sometimes He shuts doors you were too afraid to close yourself. But He only does this if you keep walking. If you don't sit down in comfort, if you don't retreat to the familiar, God is asking you today, will you walk by faith or by sight? Because faith sees the promise through the fog. Faith hears peace, even when the storm still rages. Faith steps into the unknown because it knows who's already standing there. That's the difference between those who get stuck and those who rise faith. And hear me, this isn't about arrogance. This is about assurance. God isn't lifting you up to show off. He's raising you to glorify Himself. He's turning your pain into purpose, your wounds into wisdom, your sorrow into a song. So when people see your transformation, they don't praise you, they praise the God who carried you. You see, this walk is sacred. It's not flashy. It's not always visible, but it is steady because the one leading you doesn't fail. And He's not just changing your path, He's changing your posture. You used to walk with your head down heavy with shame. Now you walk with your head lifted, heart, whole feet firm, because you know who you are And more importantly, you know whose you are. Let God rewrite your future. Let him rebuild your house on solid rock. Let him change the music of your mornings, no longer waking up dreading the day, but waking up knowing the peace of his presence goes before you. Let him silence the anxiety that used to torment you and replace it with a stillness so deep it confuses the enemy. That's what it means to trust. That's what it means to walk forward in faith. So right now, wherever you are, whether you're in a valley in transition or on the edge of something new, God is reaching out his hand, not to drag you, but to lead you, not to demand perfection, but to invite surrender, not to offer guarantees, but to offer himself. Will you take the step? Because on the other side of that step is healing. On the other side is purpose. On the other side is the peace you've been praying for, not a momentary escape, but a sustained, holy, unshakable peace that flows from walking with the Prince of Peace himself. And every step you take with him, just know he's already taken it before you. The path is prepared. The victory is promised. All he's waiting for is you. My dear friends, after the storm has calmed, after the weight has lifted, after the silence of the night gives way to the still voice of God, when you must face not just your circumstance, but your calling. And this moment right here is not about what you've endured. It's not about the pain that tried to define you, nor the voices that tried to dismiss you. No, this moment is sacred because it's where God turns and says, you are mine. You are chosen, not because you earned it, not because you climbed high enough, but because his grace reached low enough. And I don't know who this is for, but somebody in this room, somebody watching this online, you've been walking with your head bowed, your soul bruised, your confidence shattered. You've been wondering, God, are you still with me? Did I mess it up? Did I miss my chance? You've been questioning whether that whisper you once heard, that tug in your spirit, was real. Let me tell you, yes, it was real. Yes, it was God. And yes, you are still chosen. Because God doesn't change his mind about who he calls. Let me say that again for the ones still battling guilt, still wrestling with shame. God doesn't revoke his calling just because you stumbled. He doesn't take back his purpose just because you doubted. He didn't choose you because you were strong. He chose you to make you strong. He didn't choose you because you were qualified. He chose you so he could qualify you with his spirit, with his fire, with his grace. This is the moment where the fire of faith begins to burn again, not just flicker, not just simmer, but blaze like a wildfire through your soul. It's the fire that says, I may have fallen, but I'm getting back up. It's the flame that declares, I may have walked through the valley of the shadow, but I'm still breathing, I'm still here, I'm still his. See, God never stops calling his children, even when we stop listening, even when we run, even when we give in to fear. The truth is, God's love is more persistent than your failure. His mercy is deeper than your mess. And his voice is louder than your past. You've heard it before, that small, still voice that kept calling your name while you tried to convince yourself you weren't worthy. You tried to push it aside, tried to drown it out with distraction, with busyness, with compromise. But the call never left you because you never left his heart. And now is the time to receive that identity again. Not based on feeling, not based on status, not based on what others have said or what you've said to yourself, but based on what God says about you. He says you are loved. He says you are forgiven. He says you are free. And somebody needs to hear this tonight. Your past no longer defines you. The chains are broken. The labels are removed. The shame has been buried in the empty tomb of Jesus Christ. And what rises now is not a guilty soul, but a redeemed spirit. You're not just surviving anymore. You're standing in your identity. You're walking in the authority of the one who called you by name. Listen, God didn't bring you through hell just to leave you in limbo. He didn't deliver you from the pit just to watch you live like a prisoner. When God declares you free, you're free indeed. When he calls you chosen, It's sealed in the courts of heaven. This identity, it's not about pride. It's not a badge you wear to say, look at me. No, this is a mantle you carry to say, look at him. It's not to make your name great. It's to make his name known. You are chosen so others can know they are not forgotten. You are restored so others can see that healing is possible. You are forgiven so others can believe that grace still flows. Because when the world looks at you, they won't see perfection, they'll see transformation. They'll see evidence that the God who begins a good work does not stop halfway. He finishes what he starts. And beloved, if you're still breathing, he's not done with you. Don't let the enemy twist your memory. Don't let him weaponize your past to paralyze your future. Every scar is now a testimony. Every failure is now fertilizer for your faith. Because you've been marked not by shame, but by purpose. You've been set apart not for isolation, but for impact. Chosen not for a platform, but for his presence. There is fire in you that the enemy couldn't snuff out. There is a destiny in you that trauma couldn't erase. There is a light in you that the darkness could not comprehend. And this is your confirmation. This is heaven's announcement. This is the moment when God takes all the fragments of your story, the rejection, the brokenness, the wandering, and he binds them together with mercy and says, this is my child. This is my chosen one. I have called them by name, and they are mine. So rise up, walk like you're chosen, pray like you're chosen, love like you're chosen, serve like you're chosen, because you are. And don't be surprised when you start seeing things shift, when old fears no longer shake you, when old voices no longer define you, when old habits begin to fall away. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. That's transformation. It starts in the fire of your spirit and it begins to affect everything. Your thoughts, your speech, your relationships, your purpose. Because once you know who you are, the enemy can no longer control how you live. You're not walking in circles anymore. You're walking in calling. You're not chasing acceptance anymore. You're walking in favor. You're not hiding in shame anymore. You're standing in sonship, child of God. It's time to burn bright again. It's time to silence every lie with the truth of his word. It's time to live, not in the shadows of who you were, but in the light of whose you are. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't reach for the weight of yesterday. Don't rehearse the wounds. Don't replay the regrets. Look in the mirror and declare with boldness, I am chosen. I am redeemed. I am free. Not because I earned it, but because he said it. And if God said it, that settles it. You don't need another sign. You don't need another confirmation. This is the day, this is the chapter, this is the fire. Step into your calling. Wear your identity with humility and holy boldness. Walk not in insecurity, but in intimacy with the one who chose you before the foundation of the world. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not a mistake. You are chosen, and that changes everything. Everything we've walked through, everything we've cried through, everything we've doubted, it's been preparation, not punishment. And now, in this holy moment, the Spirit of God is declaring with clarity and power, the time is now. I know it didn't look like it. I know it didn't feel like it. It felt like delay. It felt like silence. It felt like the heavens were closed and your prayers were ricocheting off the ceiling. But hear me today, just because you didn't see movement doesn't mean God wasn't working. Just because it looked like nothing was changing doesn't mean God wasn't shifting everything beneath the surface. Because God is not bound by your clock. He's not anxious when you're waiting. He's not late. He's exact, perfect, surgical in timing. The same God who told Abraham to wait 25 years for a promise, who let Joseph sit in a prison until Pharaoh had a dream, who allowed Lazarus to die before calling him out of the tomb. That same God is saying to you today, now is the appointed time. This is not a vague hope. This is not a someday maybe promise. This is divine fulfillment. The season you've been groaning through, praying through, barely crawling through it, was leading to this moment. What was blocked is about to be released. What was broken is about to be mended. What was lost is being returned, and not just returned, restored, multiplied, redeemed. The promise is not just coming, it's here, right now. The atmosphere around you is shifting. You may not even realize it yet, but the chains are loosening. The heaviness is lifting. The breath of God is breathing fresh wind into tired lungs and weary souls. Homes are being healed. Families are being knit back together. The prodigals are turning around. Relationships that were hanging on by threads are being rewoven by the hands of mercy. Because when God says it's time, nothing can stop it. Not your past, not their opinions, not your failures, not even your doubts. Some of you have lived under the weight of almost for too long. You almost healed. You almost got free. You almost believed again. But God's not a God of almost. He's a God of completion. He finishes what he starts. And I'm telling you now, this is the moment the incomplete becomes complete. It's not just personal either. This is generational. What God is fulfilling in your life will echo beyond your lifetime. The cycles that kept your family in bondage are being broken. The fear that ruled generations is being shattered. The absence of peace that marked your home is being reversed, and joy is returning. Peace is not just visiting, it's taking residence. That ache in your home, that unspoken tension, that silent distance, the Lord is flooding it with healing light. The wayward heart is softening. The angry spirit is quieting. The dysfunction is meeting its match in the Spirit of God. And here's the truth. That will set somebody free. What you thought was the end was actually the beginning. That closed door. It was God's way of rerouting you to something higher. That loss you mourned. It was the pruning before the fruit. That season where it seemed like everything died, that was the winter before the bloom. And baby, spring is here. Right now, heaven is aligning things you can't see. Phone calls you didn't expect are on the way. Opportunities that had no path are being carved out. Divine connections are finding their way to your doorstep. And it's not hustle. It's not striving. It's not manipulation. It's God moving in his perfect rhythm, fulfilling what he promised. And you want to know the power in this moment. It's not just that the promise is coming. It's that you're ready now. Because if he had given it to you before, you might have mishandled it. You might have glorified the blessing instead of the blesser. You might have used it to prove something instead of serve someone. But now, after the pruning, the breaking, the waiting, your heart is different. You know what matters? You're not looking to prove you're ready to pour. And that's when the promise has its fullest power, when it's not about pride but purpose, when it's not about applause but assignment, when it's not about you but the glory of the one who brought you through. Let me speak this over somebody. This is not payback. This is positioning. God is positioning you to walk into rooms you never imagined to impact people. You never knew were watching to carry authority. You didn't think you had. But now you see, it was never about earning it. It was about surrendering to it. And hear this loud, God is not just restoring things to you, he's restoring things in you. That childlike joy, that unshakable peace, that fire to dream again, that courage to love again, that willingness to believe again. You are not walking back into the same life, you're walking forward into the promise with a renewed spirit, a restored identity, and a redeemed perspective. You see, the fulfillment of the promise doesn't just bless you, it changes you. You come out of this refined, humble, wise, compassionate. You don't look like what you've been through, but you carry the authority of one who survived it and now thrives because of it. So now what do? We walk, not tiptoe, not crawl. We walk boldly, confidently, humbly into the land that's been prepared. We embrace the restoration that's been tailor-made by the Father. We stop questioning if it's real and start living like it is. This is the time. This is the moment. Not next year, not next month. Now And as you step forward, know this, you're not walking alone. The same God who prepared the promise has prepared you for the promise. He's with you in every conversation, every decision, every battle, every breakthrough. His Spirit is resting on you, surrounding you, filling you. His presence goes before you, and His glory will be your rear guard. So take the step, make the call, extend the forgiveness, speak the truth, open the door. Because this is holy ground, and what God starts, He always finishes. The time is now. The promise is here. The restoration has begun. Chosen ones. We just talked about divine timing, how what seemed like a delay was actually preparation. How what looked like silence was the setting of a stage. But now I want to talk to you about the kind of transformation that no clock can measure and no man can manufacture, a change that doesn't start outside. It doesn't start in the bank account, the job title, or the applause of people. No, it begins deep inside the soul. I'm talking about renewal from the inside out. Because the truth is, God doesn't just want to change your situation. He wants to change you. He's not just in the business of adjusting circumstances. He's in the business of healing hearts. That's why some of us had to go through what we went through. That's why some of us had to cry behind closed doors while putting on a brave face in public. Because while everyone else was looking at the surface, God was working in the secret places. He saw what nobody saw. He heard the cries that never made it past your pillow. And He began the work of restoration, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Because the Spirit of God doesn't do cosmetic changes. He doesn't apply a filter to your pain. No, He goes into the pain, into the brokenness, into the confusion, into the memories that still haunt you. And He starts to do what no therapist, no medicine, no man or woman could ever do. He starts to heal. See, the problem with the world's version of healing is that it tries to treat symptoms, but God treats roots. He doesn't want to just help you manage your trauma. He wants to redeem it. He doesn't just want to numb your pain. He wants to resurrect purpose in it. You've got to understand the chains that held you down the longest didn't come from what happened around you. They came from what took hold inside of you. That shame, that rejection, that betrayal, that sense of I'm not enough, those things built a prison not made of steel but of lies. But when the Spirit of the living God walks into your life, He doesn't just rattle the doors, He breaks them open. And the healing doesn't always start loud. It doesn't always start with a dramatic moment. Sometimes it begins in stillness. Sometimes it begins in a whisper. Sometimes it begins when you're driving home in silence, and for the first time in a long time, you feel peace. You don't know where it came from. You can't explain it, but you know it's Him. It's His hand on your soul saying, I never left. I was here the whole time. Family, there's a holy restoration taking place, not just in your situation, but in your spirit. God is renewing you from the ground up. He's rebuilding what life tried to tear down. And listen to me, He's not building the same version of you that used to be. No, He's raising up someone new. Someone that doesn't walk around carrying yesterday's chains. Someone that doesn't let their identity be defined by their past mistakes. Someone who knows that their worth was decided at the cross, not in the eyes of the people who abandoned them. You are being made new, not repaired, reborn. And let me tell you something, the people around you may not understand it. They might still talk to you like you're that same broken person they used to know, but that's because they haven't seen the surgery God did in the dark. They don't know what He cut away while you were praying. They don't see the scar tissue. He dissolved the bitterness. He removed the strength. He stitched into your soul. They don't know how your silence was actually your sanctuary. But now it's showing. Oh yes, it's starting to show. That peace you carry when everything around you says you should panic, that's Him. That wisdom you're speaking that you know didn't come from books, that's Him. That joy you feel rising up again after years of despair, that's Him. He's changing you from the inside out. And when that kind of change happens, it lasts. It doesn't fade when the storm comes. It doesn't crack under pressure. Because it wasn't built on hype, it was built on his hand. And I want you to hear me now. Your pain was not wasted. Your quiet faithfulness, your silent tears, your decision to keep going when nobody clapped or noticed, he saw all of it. And he's been using it as the foundation for your next season. See, God doesn't forget what you did in private. He doesn't overlook the prayers you whispered when everyone else was asleep. He remembers how you stayed obedient, even when it hurt, how you gave, even when you lacked, how you forgave, even when it broke you. And he's saying, now I'm about to build something on that faith. Now I'm about to turn your private pain into public purpose. This is not just healing. This is commissioning. He's calling you into mission, into purpose, into impact. And you may not feel qualified. You may still see the cracks in your reflection. But remember, God doesn't choose based on perfection. He chooses based on availability. And because you stayed available, he's about to send you out renewed. Not the broken version of you, not the fearful version of you, but the healed you, the whole you. The you that knows who you are and whose you are. The you that doesn't need applause to move forward because your identity isn't rooted in people's opinions. It's anchored in God's declaration. You are loved. You are seen. You are known. You are chosen. And the proof is not in how easy your life has been. It's in how faithful God has remained. The evidence is not in the absence of scars. It's in the power of your story. You made it through, not because you were strong, but because he was stronger. So let him finish the work. Don't run back to old mindsets. Don't entertain the lies that say nothing's changed. Everything's changed. And it started when God entered the room and said, I'm healing you from the inside out. This isn't the end of your story. This is the unveiling. This is where the world starts to see what God has been shaping in the shadows. So walk forward, not in fear, not in hesitation, but in the quiet confidence of someone who's been transformed by the hand of heaven. Because you, my friend, are not just surviving. You are becoming. You are stepping into purpose. You are rising with power. You are living proof that when God renews from the inside out, nothing can stay the same. Not your past, not your pain, not even you. And when the heavens seem to shift, you feel it right in your spirit. That is the moment when God begins to accelerate what you have been believing for. The pace changes. Your steps begin to find momentum unforced, like the wind settled under your wings, lifting you. And this moment is not by coincidence. It is by the perfect timing of divine orchestration. When God decides to move, he does not take turns, he storms in. Now is that time. Things that seem stuck behind closed doors are swung wide open. Your heart, which has carried burdens invisible to others, is being buoyed by grace. You feel the lift, that subtle shift that tells you something has changed in the spirit even before your circumstances catch up. That is acceleration, not your striving, but his speed. The same God who formed promises in your silent nights is now bringing them to pass with a velocity that cannot be stopped. This acceleration is tied to provision, not just provision, but supernatural provision. Resources are shifting. Funds favor opportunities are aligning in ways that defy logic. You will look around and say, I did not plan this. I did not make this happen. I did not debate for this outcome. And then you will remember the quiet place where you waited, where you prayed, where you refused to let go. And you will know with certainty that God provided. He is supplying every need and then some, because he sees what you've carried and he knows what is required for what is coming. This is not just restoration of what you lost, but restoration multiplied. That investment of pain, that little strength you had left, that final tear, the prayer from the bottom of your soul, God is turning it into a harvest. As you walk into this season, he meets you with provision that is beyond your asking, beyond your imagination. Those seeds you planted in faith when there was nothing around you, they are sprouting now in abundance. And God is not just removing burdens, He is tearing them away from you like Levitical robes no longer suited for the mantle He wants to place on you. The heaviness you were accustomed to, as unwilling as you were to carry it, is being lifted. You feel the ease, even in your bones. Where you breathed heavy, now you breathe deep. Where you feared collapse, your legs are strong under the weight of grace. Where you thought you could not carry on, you now carry forward into this acceleration. The burden was not there for your despair, but for your preparation. Every hardship has been shaping you, training your spirit, toughening your resolve. And God is saying, now you are ready. Now you will steward what has been entrusted to you. You aren't just appointed to survive. You are appointed to rise. God is not punishing you with hardship. He is gifting you with readiness. And this season of acceleration is not to inflate your ego. There is no arrogance in a soul that has been prepared in the fire. Instead, what rises now is humility carried by courage and guided by vision. This is not about self-glory. It is about stewardship with heart. You were faithful in the breaking, and now you will be used in the building. You will become a channel through which others witness what grace looks like in flesh. You will carry more because you endured more. You will walk boldly because you were forged in faithfulness. You are not chasing your dream, you are walking your destiny, and God is walking with you. This season will reveal divine schedule, not human timing. It's not about what others think of how fast you move. It is about how aligned you are with what is already happening in the spiritual realm. Heaven has declared a shift. Angels have altered assignments on your behalf. God has overridden the limitations the enemy tried to place on your life. Restoration is no longer a possibility. It is a reality unfolding. And you will marvel at how suddenly what was held back now surges forward. What you thought was delayed is now delivered. Be prepared for acceleration to test your character, because when the pace picks up, you have to run without falling. You have to speak without stammering. You have to stand without fear. You were trained in the furnace for this moment. You have passed the test that no one applauded. You prayed through storms that shook your foundations. You kept walking when your feet felt heavy. And now, because you did not quit, you stand ready. God does not accelerate you into weakness. He accelerates you into your strength in Him. You will move forward with clarity in vision, steadiness in spirit, confidence in identity. The provision will come, but you must match it with humility. You will be carried, but you must walk in obedience. You will speak into situations, but you must use wisdom and grace. You are being launched into a season where every step is being propelled by prayer, faith, and divine design. This is the acceleration of the covenant. God swore He would never leave you nor forsake you. And now that oath becomes your lifeline in this season. Everything that He promised at your lowest will be manifest at your strongest. What He whispered in your desert is now echoing in your deliverance. This is not movement for movement's sake. Every shift has a purpose. Every acceleration is directed. Every blessing is portioned. You will see the synergy of Scripture and circumstance collide. You will see the supernatural break through your natural limits. That dream you were told was too much, that vision you were told was too big, God is saying, I've prepared you for that very thing. And now it's on its way. As you step into this acceleration, remain rooted in the source. Do not be moved by the motion. Stay connected in prayer. Stay humble in success. Stay anchored in your identity in Christ. Because the race is not won in the first sprint, but in the sustained strength of the believer who keeps running. This is your sprint, yes. But don't lose your soul in the speed. Keep your sight lifted upward. Keep your faith tuned to His voice. Keep your heart soft. Keep your hands out for others who are being activated next to you. Others will watch you and some will follow because they see God has helped you. Be those hands of help, those feet of grace, that voice of peace. Because what God gives you, He gives you not just to hold, but to give. So rise boldly into the acceleration God has ordained. Receive His supply. Receive His strength. Receive the wings to soar where He calls you. You are not moving too fast for God. You are moving just right in line with His agenda. The mountains are bowing. The doors are swinging. The provision is pouring. The moment is now, and you are ready. Beloved chosen ones, when what once was silent struggle becomes the foundation for public honor, when hidden burdens are elevated into a testimony visible to the world, that moment has arrived. You are entering the season of abundance, not because you earned it, but because God's mercy and faithfulness have carried you here. The internal work flowing from your last season, healing, endurance, faith, is now surfacing in the natural. Your life is about to shift from being a quiet survivor to a living witness. You've walked the valley. Now you will walk in victory openly. This is a season of connection, new relationships, divine alignments, doors swinging open by design, not by accident. Opportunities once closed or unseen will now seek you. Why? Because God wants your life not hidden in the shadows, but displayed in the marketplace of humanity as proof that He restores and redeems. It's not about pride, it's about proclamation. God did this. The world needs testimonies more than teachings, and yours born from sweat, sorrow, and silence will resonate deeply. The chains of insult, the labels they pinned on you, the shame you carried in secret, they're lifting. Every sneer, every shame, every you'll never make it. Now, serve as fuel for grace that stands firm in the light. The world will look at your life and say, that shouldn't have happened to them, but look how they thrive. There is power in turnaround because it announces God is real. God is kind. God is just. God remembers. But heed this, the past must not define your tomorrow. Don't let yesterday's mistakes, rejections, or regrets limit your present. You are not who you were. You are who He says. You are chosen, cherished, equipped, and sent. Stand in that identity. Walk in that authority. Speak from that place of confidence, not pride, but rooted in grace. This season invites you to reclaim purpose, not for applause, but for assignment. What God is releasing now is not temporary emotion. It is sustained overflow peace that does not vanish when stress returns. Joy that isn't contingent on events. Purpose that outlasts trends. This is the fruit of inward transformation that begins in the quiet and emerges in the public. You're not acting out a part, you are living out a promise. And that brings a confidence that trembles no more. Expect divine partnerships. People with aligned vision, spiritual maturity, and godly favor will connect with you. Watch how conversations shift from hesitations to hope. Watch how opposition softens, how respect surfaces. Doors that were locked will not only open, they'll lead to space you've never occupied. And who walks through? You, the one who believed, prepared, and persevered. That's who you are now. This is not a fill-in-the-blank blessing. It is a floodgate of divine provision, honor, and harmony. Families are restored, careers are reborn, destinies are reawakened. The same God who allowed you to be tested is now elevating you in environments where your testimony matters. You will serve as a bridge between what was broken and what is being rebuilt. The world can't give you this. Systems can't grant you this. It's exceedingly abundantly more than anything they can offer because it comes straight from heaven, shaped in your faith and tailored for your calling. The overflow you will experience is purpose assembled by God. Resist the impulse to hustle for it. Receive it humbly. Stand in gratitude. Live in expectation, not anxiety. As you step into this harvest, remember the source of your elevation. Let humility guide your words. Let grace lead your actions. Let thanksgiving fuel your soul. Because when honor comes without humility, pride sneaks in, and pride diminishes legacy. But humility welcomes the presence of God and sustains what He builds. This season is not just for you, it's for others. Your change, your breakthrough, your peace, even in your quiet, will send ripples into the lives of others who've walked similar paths. You become living proof that redemption doesn't just exist, it arrives. Someone's future is hinging on your testimony. Walk in love and clarity, not haughtiness or secrecy. Stand firm, speak truth, shine brightly, but let the light behind you be honored. So rise, not because you survived, but because you were called. Not because the world needs you, but because the world needs the God who carried you. This is the turning, the harvest, the moment where your life moves from sorrow to song, where your hidden faithfulness is now displayed as glory. Embrace it, walk in it, share it, and let your chapter become a landmark of grace that points many to the only one who can transform tragedy into testimony. You've got to step fully into that identity. You can't bring the language of yesterday into the territory of today. Stop telling yourself you're still the broken one, the passed over one, the forgotten one. That version of you was necessary for a season, but it no longer fits where God is taking you. It's time to stand in your new name. Just like Jacob became Israel after wrestling with God, just like Saul became Paul after encountering Jesus, you too are being renamed by heaven. This is not just personal growth. This is prophetic alignment. God is not trying to improve your past. He's declaring a whole new future. And this future comes with divine connections. See, when you embrace the fullness of your identity in Christ, God starts sending people into your life who don't see your past, they see your potential. People who don't ask what broke you, they ask what built you. This is the season where wrong doors shut for the right ones to open. You won't have to strive for access. God will send divine appointments that recognize the anointing on your life. Conversations will shift. Circles will change. Assignments will find you not because you hustled, but because you healed. Not because you performed, but because you persevered. God is also bringing opportunity back around, but in a healed version. This time you're not desperate, you're discerning. This time you're not begging, you're building. You won't need to push your way through. You'll walk in with peace. What used to make you anxious will now feel like alignment. That's how you'll know it's from God. It won't come with confusion, but confirmation. The doors you once feared were too big for you. Now they'll open to the sound of your obedience. What used to intimidate you now invites you. What once disqualified you now recognizes you and the overflow. It's not just about things. No, this is deeper. This is about divine supply. The kind of peace that guards your mind like a fortress. The kind of clarity that makes decisions simple. The kind of joy that doesn't leave. When circumstances shift, you will walk with a calm that confuses the enemy. You will speak with an authority that silences rooms, not because of who you are, but because of who's backing you. Heaven's hand is on you. God is showing off through you. But don't get it twisted. This isn't a season of ego. It's a season of evidence. The favor on your life will point back to the Father, and you won't have to convince anyone that God is real. They'll see it in the way you live, the way you forgive, the way you keep getting back up, the way you glow in rooms that once drained you, the way your laughter sounds like resurrection, the way your posture is no longer hunched by burdens, but lifted by hope. You are proof that healing is possible, that deliverance is real, that God still turns graves into gardens. So what do you do with this harvest? You sow it again. You pour it out. Because this is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of your legacy. Your life will not be a museum of suffering, but a classroom of survival. You will mentor out of your misery. You will lead out of what once left you low. You will bless others with the very thing that tried to break you. And you won't need a pulpit to preach. Your presence will do the talking. Your smile will do the testifying. Your walk, steady, holy, unshaken, will preach the gospel louder than any sermon ever could. God is setting the table not just for your restoration, but for your impact. And that means letting go of any fear that says you're not qualified. You are, because God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He doesn't look at your resume. He looks at your resilience. And you've got that. You've been through fire. You've walked through floods. And now you're standing here, not just alive, but anointed. That's not random. That's redemptive. That's revival. So stand tall, not with arrogance, but with awareness. You're not here by accident. You were preserved for such a time as this. And now your life is the harvest. Your voice is the trumpet. Your steps are the evidence. Walk like someone who's seen God's goodness up close. Talk like someone who's been in the dark and came out carrying light. Love like someone who's tasted grace and can't help but share it. Because this is not just your moment, it's your mantle. And the best part, it's only just beginning. What felt like the end was actually a divine edit. What looked like a loss was heaven's pruning. God has not just restored you, He has recommissioned you. You're not going back to normal. You're going forward into newness, into fullness, into glory. And the world better get ready. Because when God showcases His chosen ones, He doesn't whisper, He makes a statement. So rise, chosen one. The season has shifted. The page has turned. And your life, it's about to preach louder than your pain ever did. And now God is shifting how you move. He's saying, what I'm about to do in your life, what I'm already setting into motion won't be by your might. It won't be by your hustle. It will be by my Spirit. This is the moment where grace takes the wheel. This is not the season of struggling to prove yourself. This is the season of surrendering to the wind of heaven that carries you. Because when grace is in operation, doors don't just open, they swing wide with no human hand turning the knob. Conversations are shifted in rooms you never stepped into. Your name is honored in places where you were once rejected. And yes, you will begin to walk in the ease of God's divine order. Now, I know somebody listening might say, but I've never experienced ease. I've only known weight, and I get it. Life's been heavy. Expectations have piled up. Responsibilities have stretched you thin. But here's the beauty of grace. When it begins to flow, you'll be doing more but feeling less burdened. You'll speak life into others and not feel drained. Because it won't be you trying to impress, it'll be Him expressing through you. Grace doesn't exhaust, it empowers. Grace doesn't pressure, it positions. When God operates through grace, He doesn't need your resume, He needs your release. He doesn't need your credentials, He needs your consent. That's what Zechariah 4:6 was pointing to when it said, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. That's not poetry, that's prophecy. That's instruction. God is teaching us not to depend on our own strength anymore. Because even if your strength got you in the room, it won't keep you there. But grace. It's grace that sustains, grace that surrounds, grace that settles the storm inside your soul, even when the storm outside rages on. And watch this. Grace not only carries you, it also flows through you. You don't just receive it, you become a channel of it. God never intended to just bless you for you. He blesses you to bless others. He comforts you so you can comfort others. You become the vessel through which heaven's calm pours into chaotic hearts. And the most miraculous part, you won't feel drained doing it. You won't burn out trying to carry others because the fire you're using didn't come from you. You're not the source, you're the pipe. And as long as the pipe stays connected to the fountain, water will flow. There's a holy weightlessness that comes with divine grace. It doesn't mean life is without obstacles. It means you're no longer moving through them alone. You begin to recognize that you're not the one carrying the promise. The promise is carrying you. And when that happens, you'll see something remarkable. Burdens begin to lift, not because the load has changed, but because the lifter has arrived. Some of you have been trying to carry ministries, relationships, businesses, children, futures, all on your own back. And it's been breaking you quietly. But the Lord is whispering right now, let me carry it. Let me do it. Let me write the story while you just turn the pages. Let me plant the seeds while you just water with faith. That's how grace works. It moves you from performance to partnership, from trusting from exhaustion to expansion. And hear this, when God starts to move through grace, the results outpace your resume. You look at your life and realize you're operating in rooms you weren't qualified for influencing people. You used to be intimidated by speaking words that aren't yours, but are backed by eternity. Why? Because it's not you, it's Christ in you, the hope of glory. And his yoke is easy. Imagine that what used to take you years will take months. What used to take months will take weeks. Because when God is doing the lifting, acceleration comes naturally, not forced, not manipulated, but divine timing colliding with surrendered hearts. That's where the miracles happen, in the margin between your limitation and his lordship. So maybe right now you're standing at the edge of a new opportunity, and maybe fear is gripping your heart, telling you you're not enough. But let me remind you, grace isn't about being enough. Grace is about surrendering to the one who is. God's not waiting on you to be perfect. He's just waiting on you to say yes. To be the clay that trusts the potter. To be the branch that stays connected to the vine. And as you begin to say yes, things will start flowing. Creativity will flow. Peace will flow. Relationships will align. Purpose will come into focus. And it won't feel like climbing Mount Everest every morning. It will feel like waking up into the wind of heaven pushing you forward. You will become a source of peace in storms you used to drown in. You will bring comfort to places you once wept in. Your presence will carry weight, not because of your effort, but because of the spirit that rests upon you. You'll walk into rooms and shift atmospheres, not with noise, but with the quiet authority that comes from divine assignment. God is shifting you into a new operating system. You used to run on pressure. Now you'll run on purpose. You used to move from urgency. Now you'll move from overflow. You used to be drained from pouring out. Now you'll be filled as you give. Because it's not about you giving from your own jar. It's about being connected to the well that never runs dry. And what's most profound is this. Even as God uses you mightily, you'll feel lighter, not heavier. Because when he works through you, he also refreshes you. When you speak words of life, they bounce back and water your own soul. You won't be another burned out believer. You'll be a burning light, fueled by the oil of heaven, never running out because the source is unlimited. This is your invitation not to do more, but to yield more. To trust that the same God who opened the door is the one who will sustain the journey. To believe that grace is not a one-time gift, but a constant flow. And all he's asking of you is this: stay yielded. Stay open, stay connected, because the days of striving are over. The days of surviving are behind you. Now is the time to glide in the current of divine grace. And as you do, the world will look and see not your hustle, not your pain, not your strength, but his glory shining through a vessel who finally learned to rest in the one who carries it all. Beloved chosen ones. Now let me tell you what happens when that grace starts to touch the places in you that still hurt. When it seeps into the places time tried to bury, but you never truly forgot. Because God doesn't just use you moving forward. He walks into the room of your past, and he doesn't do it to shame you. He does it to heal you, to redeem what you thought was wasted, and to rewrite the meaning of every scar you carry. You see, healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering with peace. God never promised to erase your memories. He never said he'd delete the pain like it never happened. No, he said he would be with you in trouble, that he would prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies, that even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you would fear no evil. Why? Because he is with you, not removing the valley, walking you through it, not avoiding the memory, redeeming it. Some of you have been asking God to delete the chapter, but he's saying, I want to publish it. You've begged him to erase the night, but he's saying, I want to shine my light through it, because your story has power. Your testimony isn't just a conclusion, it's a journey of divine interruption, divine mercy, and divine transformation. And when God heals a memory, he doesn't just take the pain away, he gives it new purpose. That thing that used to torment you becomes a monument to his faithfulness. That place you avoided becomes the pulpit from which you preach your own redemption. Now let me be clear. The enemy wants you to stay stuck in shame. He wants to keep pressing rewind on the worst days of your life, making you think it's too late, making you believe nothing good can come from that mess. But God is not intimidated by your mess. In fact, he specializes in taking what's broken and making it beautiful. He's the God who turned a crucifixion into a resurrection. He's the God who takes what the enemy meant for evil and uses it for good. So why would he leave your past untouched? Why would he leave your memory haunted when he can make it holy? When he steps in, that memory no longer paralyzes you. It propels you. The things that used to make you cry now give you strength. The names that used to hold power over your heart now have no voice, because you've been set free. And not just free in your future, free in your past. That's the kind of God we serve. He doesn't just heal what's visible, he heals what's invisible. The soul wounds the internal bruises, the silent screams you never voiced. He's the God who walks into your history and writes, grace was here, and hear me now, the years you thought were wasted, they are not gone. They are groundwork. They are the soil from which something holy is springing up. Your tears watered the seeds. Your suffering tilled the land, and now in the fullness of time, God is causing fruit to grow from what you thought was failure. There is nothing wasted in the hands of God. Not a second, not a scar, not a sigh. It bottles your tears. He numbers your days. It redeems your timeline. So stop cursing your history. Start consecrating it. Stop asking God to take it away and start asking him to teach you what he was doing in it. Because if you look back now with healed eyes, you'll see that even in the dark, he was moving. Even in the betrayal, he was working. Even in the silence, he was speaking. And now as you walk into what he's called you to, you're not dragging a wounded past, you're carrying a redeemed testimony. And that testimony is going to set others free. Not because it's perfect, but because it's proof that God still heals, that God still redeems, that God still walks through locked doors and breathes peace. Now listen, as he heals your past, he also sanctifies your home. That's right. He's not just working in you, he's working in the place where you live. He's making your home a sanctuary, not a place of noise or chaos or conflict, but a place where his presence dwells. A place where his spirit rests. A place where love is patient, forgiveness is flowing, and peace is not a guest, it's a resident. I know it doesn't always look that way. I know there are dishes in the sink and disagreements in the hallway, but let me tell you something. God honors quiet faithfulness. He sees the unseen acts of patience. He hears the prayers you whisper while folding laundry. He feels the forgiveness you offer without fanfare. That house of yours, it's holy ground, not because it's perfect, but because he lives there with you. And what he builds in secret, no enemy can tear down in public. You've been wondering if your sacrifice matters, if the quiet work, the hidden obedience, the daily laying down of self, it's seen. And I came to tell you tonight it is. Heaven sees it, God counts it. And in due time there will be a harvest, not a loud one, not a flashy one, but a harvest of deep peace, of overflowing joy, of unshakable stability. Your home will not be known for conflict. It will be known for communion. Your table will not be a place of silence and stress. It will be a place of laughter and life. And when people ask you how it changed, you won't be able to point to a single event. You'll just know it was grace. It was the slow, steady movement of God's hand shaping your house into a haven. It was the gentle correction of His Spirit teaching you how to speak with kindness. It was the quiet whisper of His presence telling you not to give up, not to walk out, not to grow weary in doing good. Because in that stillness, something sacred was being built. Don't underestimate the power of what happens when you stay, when you forgive again, when you choose patience over proving a point. That is spiritual warfare. That is kingdom building. That is the kind of faith that changes generations. Not loud, not chauve, but real. And I declare right now, peace is coming to your house. Restoration is moving through the rooms. God is inhabiting the space between your words, the rhythm of your footsteps, the stillness of your nights. He is taking your small acts of faith and multiplying them. He is making your home a place where children grow up knowing God, where love outlasts conflict, where presence outweighs performance. You don't have to make it happen. You just have to make room. So breathe, rest. You are not forgotten. Your home is not invisible. Your past is not wasted. And your future, it's being written by the one who knows the end from the beginning. You're not just being healed, you're being made whole. And your wholeness, it's going to echo through every hallway, every memory, every dinner table, and every generation after you. That's the kind of redemption only God can do. Beloved chosen ones, as we close today's message, I can be certain that you are no longer standing at the threshold of your breakthrough. You've been through the season of healing. You've wrestled in the night with memories that once held you hostage. God has walked you through the dark rooms of your story and began turning the lights on one switch at a time. You've learned how the pain shaped you but did not define you. Now there's a voice rising in your spirit that says, it's time. Not time to go back, not time to hesitate, not time to question your worth, but time to step forward with faith that may be trembling but is real nonetheless. God is calling you to stand in this moment, not with fear but with boldness. The kind of boldness that's not loud or arrogant but steady. A kind of quiet confidence that knows who your Father is, that knows what He whispered. In the dark still counts in the light. You see, the enemy tries to shout loud because he knows he's losing ground. Doubt will try to echo in your mind because it knows faith is taking root. But this is your time. Not a random moment, not an accidental alignment of events. This is a divinely appointed intersection of God's timing and your readiness. This is your season to declare, I will not be shaken. Faith doesn't always roar. Sometimes it shows up as a whisper that says, try again. Sometimes it's a trembling hand reaching for the promise. Sometimes it's one step, just one, when everything in you wants to stay still. But Jesus said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can speak to the mountain and it will move. He didn't say you had to have perfect faith or loud faith or flawless faith, just faith. Even the kind that says, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. That is enough for Him. That is enough to open what has been shut, to heal what's been broken, to begin what has been delayed. This moment isn't asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to be faithful, To trust that the God who carried you through the valley is now inviting you into a new place, not of ease, but of purpose, not of escape, but of emergence. You are not the same person who entered the storm. You are wiser, stronger, more aware of who you are in Him. And now the door is open, not because you forced it, but because God opened it at the appointed time. Walk through it. Speak life over your home, over your health, over your purpose, over your future. Speak life like it's the only thing keeping you from drowning in the noise of fear, because it is. Declare what God has said about you, even when your emotions haven't caught up yet. Say it anyway. Say, I am chosen. Say, I am called. Say, I am not forgotten. Let the words of truth be louder than the whispers of worry. Let heaven hear your voice align with its assignment. You were not born for the pit. You were not made to stay in hiding. You were not created to live beneath your calling. God has been preparing you in the shadows. He has been shaping your character in the waiting. This is not just a new chapter, it's a whole new book. The story doesn't end in survival. It begins in resurrection. And resurrection always requires one thing: the willingness to believe again. This is the time for you to rise with a faith that remembers every scar has a story, but every story has a Savior. The same God who brought you out is now bringing you into purpose, into peace, into the place where your yes unlocks what your fear tried to delay. You've got to walk in it, even if your knees are shaking. You've got to praise in it, even if your voice cracks. You've got to trust in it, even if the path isn't fully clear. Because faith isn't about seeing it all. It's about believing He's in it all. So stand tall, not because of who you are, but because of who He is in you. The King of Glory has called you forward, not to impress people, not to prove anything, but to fulfill destiny, to answer the knock that's been echoing through your soul, to step into the place you've been prepared for, brick by brick, tear by tear, prayer by prayer. This is holy ground, and you've got holy work to do. And if there's a trembling in your soul right now, if there's a stirring in your spirit, don't ignore it. That's heaven confirming that this is your time, that your season is shifting, that what you survived was not in vain. You're not just coming out of something, you're stepping into something. You're walking into a room, grace already furnished. You're stepping into a future already written by a hand that never fails. You've been chosen for this moment. Now choose to believe it. So rise, not in pride, but in purpose. Rise with faith in your bones and fire in your belly. Rise with a shout of praise and a heart of surrender. Rise with a declaration that says, I may not know all the answers, but I know who's with me. The same God who speaks to storms and raises the dead now speaks to you. Come forth. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't look for the applause. Just move with faith, with grit, with the certainty that this is not coincidence. It's calling. This is your time, and your yes will shake the earth. And when God transforms a soul, He intends to touch others through that soul. You were not lit so you could hide. You were not fed so you could starve your brother. You were not healed just to stay silent. God has one more word for you. Share it. This is the call, the final charge. You have been entrusted with light. Don't let it stop at your doorstep. The word that stirred you, the breakthrough that found you, the presence that wrapped around you in your loneliest hour, it's not meant to be locked away. The Holy Spirit whispers this with urgency. Don't bury the treasure, spread it. Don't hoard the oil, pour it out. Because what God poured into you in private, He intends to multiply in public. And you, yes, you are the vessel. When God calls you a vessel, He doesn't just mean you're meant to contain something holy. He means you're meant to carry it, release it, and bless others with it. You're not a dam, you're a river. You're not a storage tank. You're a pipeline of grace. And this moment, this divine interruption is a commissioning. God is saying, now go. Tell someone, stir someone, shine where it's dark. You don't need a stage. You don't need a platform. You don't need a microphone. All you need is obedience. That's it. That's what God is looking for. Someone who will open their mouth when the Spirit nudges. Someone who will send that message, say that prayer, make that call, walk across the room. Someone who is willing to be used. Because let me tell you something, God still uses people. Yes, He does. He still sends encouragers. He still anoints comforters. He still activates witnesses. And He says to you now, you are my vessel. You are. My voice in the storm. You are. My reminder to someone else that I'm still near. But don't miss this. When you share, you don't become empty. You don't lose what you give. You increase it. That's kingdom math. That's spiritual economy. The more you pour, the more He fills. The more you speak, the more revelation flows. And God promises in this hour, to the one who shares faithfully, I will reveal more. To the one who sows truth, I will unlock deeper mysteries. So this is not just about obedience, it's about positioning. You position yourself for more of God when you become a river of what He's already given. You step into overflow when you step out in faith. And hear me, God is not done speaking. He's not finished revealing. This was just a glimpse, a spark, a taste of the divine mysteries. He's waiting to unveil through your hunger and your faithfulness. But He's looking for seekers. He's looking for the ones who say, God, if you'll speak, I'll listen. If you'll show me, I'll carry it. If you'll lead me, I'll go. Is that you? Can He trust you with more? Can He whisper something into your spirit and know you'll steward it, not smother it? Can He place a word in your heart and know you'll pass it on? Not because of status, not for applause, but because you care more about souls than self. That's the call. That's the invitation. Become a living message. Become a walking answer to someone else's prayer. Be the voice in someone's midnight. Be the proof that God still speaks, still moves, still heals, still lifts. You may never know the impact of a word whispered in faith. You may never see the ripple of a prayer spoken in obedience, but God sees, and heaven records it all. So I say to you now, as your brother, as your fellow traveler, as one who has felt the weight and the wonder of this grace, don't keep it to yourself. Don't silence what saved you. Don't hold back the healing that found you. The world is groaning, searching, starving for something real, and you carry it. Let the light speak. Let your story breathe. Let your life become a sermon no one can ignore. And as you go, know this more is coming. Greater is ahead. For those who are faithful with the little, God will entrust the deep. For those who carry the fire, God will send the rain. This is the call to the faithful. This is the mantle passed from heaven to your hands. This is not the end, it is the sending. Go now and shine. Finally, thank you for walking this journey with me all the way to the end of today's message. If something spoken here stirred your heart, brought you peace, or gave you the courage to take another step, we're humbled and grateful. Every message shared, every story told is only possible because of the love and support from people like you, people who believe in spreading God's light to corners of the world that desperately need it. If you feel led, your simple gestures, a kind comment, a shared link, a thumbs up, or even a quiet prayer, they matter more than you know. They allow this message to reach someone sitting in the dark, someone waiting for a word of hope. So take a moment like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. And please let us know in the comments what part of this message spoke to you the most. May the Lord cover you with His grace, strengthen your hands for the journey, and bless you richly in all that you do. Keep walking in faith, because God's not done with your story yet. Amen.